Welcome to the SoulTies podcast with love and life coach Dill Lawrence, helping you detox from toxic relationships.
Back up in the building for all God's children. It is the Love Month, and I am so excited about it because I have a very special announcement. But before I get to that, I got a very special person. My purpose partner, my ace boom coon, my twin, the people's bishop,
Yes,
Kevin Foreman.
yes, sir. Listen, you got to tell them the story behind the twin piece because we showed up to an event at one of your amazing conferences, and we happened to have on the same thing. Not playing.
Listen, I can't make this up. And when we saw
No.
each other, we just fell out because
I know, right? I said, whoa, wait a minute. What's this?
Right,
You even said, should I change? I don't want him to look like it's playing. I said, who cares? It wasn't playing. It is what it is.
yeah, I know that's right, man. And we came out and we killed. We slayed.
It was an amazing night. Elijah transformed in an amazing way. In fact, I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like that.
Never before.
Never.
Well, listen, man, we are in the second month of 2025, and I got a major announcement, man. Today is the release of my third book, Love
Congratulations.
Mission Impossible. And listen, speaking
Wow.
of the night we wore the same thing, that's where I taught this lesson at the SoulTies conference in Murfreesboro, Brentwood. I'm sorry, we're going to be in Murfreesboro this year, Brentwood, Tennessee. And man, I just got so many ravings about that message, man, and it was so incredible. And on the way back, God just said that's a book. That's going to be a book, and that's our topic today. What's love got to do with it? Now, listen, y'all. Listen, for those who are listening, if you are faithful, you already know this is Bishop's favorite movie. Let's be clear. So,
Let's be very clear. My favorite.
And this is what I love about this episode is going to be so good because we're going to have some fun. Don't get me wrong, but we're also going to discuss some serious matters because, in his words, that movie is pretty much like the autobiography of his life, and mine too, and mine as well. That's one thing. One of the many things we have in common is really a toxic stepfather. And when it comes to, love, and I want everybody to get the book, thesoultiesmovement.com/store, Love Mission Impossible. It's only $9.99, but I'm telling you right now, that book is life-changing. And Bishop, feel free to, ask me any questions about it as you see fit. But definitely I want to jump on what's love got to do with it, not so much from the Tina Turner perspective, but just that phrase, period, what's love got to do with it? I want to address three different areas on this episode. What's love got to do with family? What's love got to do with friends? And what's love got to do with former lovers?
Wow.
Yeah, the three F's.
Wow.
The three F's. But before we get into it, man, tell the people why that movie is so classic to you and why that is one of your favorite movies.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It wouldn't be an autobiography because autobiography is like something somebody does about themselves, but it would certainly be biographical. And when I tell the story, it could certainly have elements of autobiographical because that was literally my stepfather. I literally say he was like Ike reincarnated, right? He was the reincarnation of Ike in many ways. He was a womanizer. He was abusive to my mother. He was, how the song go, a liar, a cheater, heartbreaker, deceiver. I saw everything not to be in a man from him. Yeah. And I don't say that to demean him. He's passed away now. And what's interesting is I was in Memphis preaching. And, he had a life in and out of Back in the day, you used to say down south. He had a life in and out of various institutions. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
But he was in and out of being locked up for different things and had so many addictions. But he was a brilliant man, extremely smart, extremely erudite, and so he just never was able to successfully conquer his daddy's demons. And my book, Sins of the Fathers, the opening story is actually about him. And it's about how while his mother was pregnant with him, his father was a womanizer, abuser, the whole nine. She was very heavily into the church and a gospel singer and all of that. And, as the story goes, people can go read it in the book, Sins of the Fathers, and at bishopforman.com or amazon.com. But as the story goes, literally, he never meets his father, but becomes exactly like his father. And so that's the whole concept of a generational curse. You don't have to meet him to be him. This thing is spiritual. You don't even have to see it to repeat it, because this thing is spiritual. And so that's exactly what ended up happening, is that that's exactly, what he did. And so I was able to see that up close and personal, and to see that, and to recognize, one, the frailty of humanity, because at the end of the day, as a human being that's hurt people. But to watch that as a young man, to watch your mother survive abusive moments. And one of the reasons I love the movie is because I can relate so much, when the kids watching and seeing and hearing that. That's what I was doing. And as the oldest son, you're a defender of your mother. And so, let's just be very clear. As a teenager and an adolescent, I hated that man. Let's be very clear.
I hated my stepfather too, man. Look.
Oh my God, I'd be riding down the street in my youth study Bible with the page open to Satan, just because I knew he was going to ask me what I was reading, and I wanted him to know I was reading about him. You understand? It was one of those things. And so it was amazingly, fast forward, I was able to, of course, forgive him. And interestingly enough, he, for a short period of time, served on my security detail, my security team at church. And I remember having a conversation with him, because he would always seem like he was going to do good. He just couldn't his story reminds me of David Ruffin's story. And his wife said, David Ruffin's right. For those who don't know, he was singing, what was the group? The Temptations. Was the Temptations?
Yeah.
Temptations.
Yeah. Temptations.
And his wife said, no amount of dope, no amount of sex, no amount of women, no stage, no amount of money could make up for what David's daddy never did for him.
That's it.
And never said to him. And so looking at that, I remember speaking to him, and we were talking about a valley I had went through, and I remember speaking to him, and I just remember thinking, and I even said this to him. I said, "You're so smart, you're stupid." I said it just like that. He started laughing. He said, "Why you say that? Why you say that, sir? Why you say that, sir?" Because he understood, the tables had turned, right? It is that the once student that you couldn't teach is now the teacher that must teach, and so to speak. So he said, "Why is that, sir? Why is that, sir? Why is that, sir?" I said, "Because you know to do better, but you just still choose not to." Yeah. And I remember we were in Memphis. And as I wrap this part up, we were in Memphis, and I was preaching there for something. He had moved there and was living there, and he came, and I remember I was praying for people, and he'd come up, and I remember praying for him, and he'd have these breakthrough moments. And I think that's the crazy things. Everybody can have breakthrough moments, but you have to take breakthrough moments and turn them into movement. And I remember prophesying over, and I don't remember exactly what I prophesied. But I remember these words because of the way the words came out. It's the only reason I remember them. Generally, when I prophesy, once I say it, it's gone. Right? God said it. So you know what I mean? He's just he's using me as a vessel to say it. So I don't necessarily recall the things that I say. People say, "Remember you told me something?" Sometimes, most times not. Because once he said it, we moved on to the next thing. I'm the mailman, right? It's like asking a mail worker, "You remember that credit card you delivered 4 years ago?" No, I don't. They don't. And so I remember saying something to him, and only because of the way I said it is why I remember it. I remember saying, "God won't continue to suffer you to something to that effect, suffer you to live like this, or suffer you to dishonor him," or something to those effects, to that effect. I said, "If you don't change," I said, "this will be the last time I see you alive." And it was. And so then that next, few months after that, he passed away. And so, and really in a very, just kind of just a awful way for one's life to end. And I don't say any of this to demean or to downgrade or to beat down, but that's what I saw.
Yeah.
So the man that I am is a man I had to create, because that was the situation I saw with my stepfather, and watching my mother survive and thrive from that. She's the reason I'm as loving as I am. And but to see someone hold on to love when you were surrounded by for 12, 13, 14, however long, how many years young, surrounded by so much hate, right?
Man,
To watch forgiveness in action, right? To watch giving people second chance. So there's so many lessons that I learned.
it is, man. I mean, even
So many lessons. What about you?
well, that represents family. That
Oh
represents,
yeah.
what's love got to do with it. That you just walked us through what that is, and I loved how you said you modeled it in your mother, right?
Mm,
That you saw love exemplified in her,
yep.
so it enabled you to love your stepfather even through all of the hell. My example definitely with my stepfather was he was, physically abusive, verbally abusive to both me and my mother. And my story isn't your story. I did not see love exemplified through my mother as it pertains to my stepfather. I saw tolerance. That's what I saw. I saw tolerance.
Mm,
Yeah. And so I think the love part of it for me had to come when I first wrote Soul Ties, and that was when God began to deal with me about my unforgiveness, not just of my stepfather, but also of my mother, because the first time that he hit me, I had a scar on the back of my head. He busted my head open, and my mother, basically badgered me until I told her what happened because I was gonna initially lie about it, and she promised me that if I told her, what happened, if it was him, she would leave him, and she kept him. She went back on her promise, and I experienced, pretty much, 10, 11 years of hell living in that household. And,
wow.
and in me grew rage, it grew resentment, and, and I had to carry that all up until, I came, I think, man, I was like 30, 33.
Wow.
Yeah, 33 years old, and that man entered my life at 8 years old. So that's the trauma that I had to deal with, but it was through my relationship with God and understanding that a big part of love, our segment is what's love got to do with it is that it has everything to do with it because if we don't forgive, if we don't master that command through forgiving the individuals that hurt us, then we end up putting ourselves in a prison. And that's pretty much emotional. That's what I was in. I was in an emotional, mental prison. As a grown man, I'm still like I'm living in my own apartment, off living my own life, but still was having nightmares about what this man did to me.
Wow.
Still having as a grown man, like waking up, like still afraid.
Mm,
Knowing that I was long gone from him, and my mother and him had divorced, and like I said, and I'm grown the whole nine, but yet still, the 8-year-old in me, the 11-year-old in me, the 15-year-old in me, still having those horrific memories, and I think, I think what I want to convey to the listeners and even through my book is how we can use love as a superpower to
wow.
heal when it comes to these types of situations, in family. And then I want to just skate over to friends. Skate over to
Mm,
friends. what's love got to do with friends? You know, you have certain people in your life, and I'm sure you can attest to this, that you absolutely love, right? You love them, you would do anything for them, but that love is not reciprocated. And when that love is not reciprocated, especially when you love, like you hear people all the time, man, I love hard, right? I love hard, man, right? You hear that all the time. But when that love is not reciprocated, that can be very devastating to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And then that love can turn to hate very quickly. Like the song say, it's a thin line between love and hate. And it's so funny how quick it can turn. But what do you say to those who, okay, we spoke about family, but in friendship, what do you say to those in friendship who happen to have friends that they love, but love on another level, and that love is not being reciprocated back? What do you say to those?
That's so good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but one, I just want to say, I think what you just talked about is so powerful, because the whole plan and purpose of the enemy is that if he can get you when you are young, and he can get you and then basically introduce something, he only has to introduce enough poison early enough that you spend the rest of your life getting that poison out of you.
That's good.
Right. And so what happens is, so what happens is that most people spend their whole life trying to undo what was done, and by the time they undo it, life's over.
Man.
By the time they undo it, they're 50, 60, 70, and now they're ready to live life, but their strength is gone.
Yeah, that's real.
And so let me say this to every person: the power of you needing to heal is about, it's bigger than what they did to you. It's about what you do to yourself after they've done it to you. Because if you look at what you said, you're a grown man having nightmares. So think about how that affected you. And you've told your story, how that affected how you had relationships, how you did life. That thing affected your whole life. And everybody, it's the same for everybody. It's the same for everybody. And how much it shapes us, right? And not even knowing how much it shapes. Like, I know one of the things for me in watching that, because of how I saw that, it created a good thing in me, which was self-reliance, right? Because I realized ain't nobody showing up but me, right? So my underlying thought process was, I will get things done.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is that I can absolutely say, to this point of love, is that it created some scenarios where I certainly throughout, whether it was friendships or romantic relationships or whatever, I could certainly see where there was instances where an individual may have felt iced out, right? Because in my mind, look, I got to take care of me because you won't. And a friend of mine years ago said it perfectly, right? And they said, Bishop, it's not that you don't trust people, you just don't trust people with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it again because that line is deep.
No. It was so deep that I'm meditating even as you're saying it, because
go ahead.
No, we got the same problem.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there, bro. I feel the
same way.
Continue.
Yeah. He said it's not that you don't trust people. He said you just don't trust people with you. And I thought about that, and here's what's interesting. And then this is an individual that that then disappeared because of a request that was made. And I said, no, probably not. And then all of a sudden, they disappeared.
They out. Yeah.
And so I said, well, you just reinforced my notion, right? All you did was just prove that my way of doing it was right. Yeah. And let this be clear: it doesn't mean that having boundaries is wrong. It means that you don't let boundaries become walls. Everybody needs boundaries, right? But you can't let boundaries become walls, because a wall, not only does it keep people out, but it keeps you in.
That's it.
And I think that was the thing. Yeah. It gave me comfort. And so I learned to love and enjoy me, and I learned to love and enjoy solitude. I learned to love and enjoy, like, I got me. But then it created this suspicion. Now, I have to be honest. It's a double-sided sword, because it created a suspicion. But God used that, because being a public figure, you have to be that way with people. Because people come with agendas, people come with plans. And I think that's the double-edged sword of it. And I think, to your point about friends, is that, like, life is a contact sport. You're going to take hits. In fact, if you're not taking hits, you're not playing it right. So the question becomes, what am I going to do after the hit? And so when your question was, what do you do with people who don't reciprocate the type of love that you give? Well, I think it's first of all, you simply you're on what they're on. You give what they give, and so at the end of the day, if they are not giving. If they're not giving, the same type of love, same type of focus, same type of energy, then you need to reduce that to match it. It's kind of like this. If you go to the restaurant and the sandwich is $10 and you have eight, well, guess what you can't get? The $10 sandwich. So what do you need to do? You need to reduce what you want to match what you have. Now that'll preach.
Yeah, Will. Come on, baby.
So it's the same thing with friends. Like, you can think, I just do all this for them. They don't do nothing for me. That's your fault. You should have saw that was an $8 friend and you needed to stop coming with $10. That's on you, because you needed to reduce it down to what they could pay. Meaning, I like it. I like saying like this: I'm transactionally relational, which means the relationship is good as long as the transactions are good. And when the transactions aren't good, then now we have an issue with the relationship. And here's the truth: people may listen and say, "Nah, I don't believe in that." Every single person is that way. You know why? Because we're having this discussion.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
if you didn't care about how they treated you, then you wouldn't even feel slighted. No one would feel slighted.
Wow.
No one would say no. You wouldn't even feel that way. You would just say, "Oh, whatever, it's okay."
Yeah,
You wouldn't even care.
yeah.
The reason people care about it is because everyone is transactionally relational. I'm just saying the quiet part out loud.
Wow.
Is that when the transactions get bad, then that relationship sours. And so everyone is that way. Whether they want to believe it or not, everyone's that way. Everyone thinks that way. Everyone moves that way, because this is why people feel like, and you did all, look, I could preach it right now. And you were there for people who weren't there for people will tear the church up. Say it, man of God. Preach, sir. Come on. Come on. My God. My God. Oh, he's preaching. I can say it right now. And you were there for them, and you did this for them, and you didn't even take care of your own stuff. Everybody would shout and think about somebody in their mind that did them that way. And I say this, you simply have to reduce what you give to match what they can give. Let that be. Like you and I, we have I've been in this transition to an Atlanta. So normally we have a very, very strong connectivity in terms of our frequency of communication.
Oh yeah. We
In
pretty
this
much
transition, it's been off.
yeah. At bare minimum, y'all, we're breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like we speak morning, midday, before we go to sleep. That's how, and depending on what we're going through, that frequency may be up. But you're right. Yeah, doing the
Yeah,
transition is off. Yeah.
right. But here's the point. The point is because there's a connection that is not only transactional, right, but relational. That means that there's a recognition, because that's me right now. When you're out look on the highways and the byways compelling men to come to Christ on your
That's it.
SoulTies,
That's it.
and you're doing that, when you're doing that, the same thing may happen. But what we understand is that there's not once have I thought, yeah, I probably am going to quit fooling with him. I'm probably going to quit talking to him. And I would venture to say the same truth for you, because what there is you give a gallon, I give a gallon. We both give gallons. And when you're dealing with people where you both give gallons, that connection is such to where even if the frequency changes, you know that the fruitfulness remains.
All day long. All day long.
And so I use that as an example, because those are the types of examples that I think people have to look at and realize. And here's the truth: you're only going to have a few of those in life.
Yeah, you ain't gonna have
Everybody
that many,
you deal
y'all.
with is not going to be that.
Come on, man. Let me jump in right there. Y'all, look at the man that you look up to, you talk about, you praise, Jesus.
Yeah.
He picked 12, and
Well,
only one of the
only
12
one.
made it to the cross.
Correct. Yep.
If you,
Yep.
I always say it like this: if you leave this life with one, you did good.
Did great. Did
You
amazing.
did what Jesus did.
You did amazing. Incredible. Incredible.
Incredible. And finally, former lovers. What's love
Mm.
got to do with it? I happened to read my brother's book, Chronicles of the Juice Man, Jordan Houston, a.k.a. professionally known to the world as Juicy J. And one of the things he said, he's now married, 2 kids. One of the things he said that really hit me, man, he said, He said, man, I never, prior to meeting his wife, he said he never was loyal to any of his former lovers. And he said it was just something about her that made him feel safe. And I know you can go here with this. Ladies, if you're listening, men want to feel safe. It's a spiritual thing that breaks that, like you said, sometimes we make boundaries, into walls, you know what I'm saying, where they basically imprison or capture us in. And something so powerful he said, I want to apologize to every woman I had prior to my wife. I was like, dog, that was strong, because you got to think of, somebody that you came up with, you grew up with, you did dirt with, you traveled the world with, and now all of a sudden you hear him as a man, right? And a reflective man at that, to say that, he never gave the chance to former lovers to really love him, because pretty much what we said earlier, he probably felt the same way. I don't trust them with me, but my wife makes me feel safe. And I immediately went to a message that you did a couple of years ago about Samson and Delilah. And you got to end this episode with that, as it pertains to what's love got to do with former lovers. Like when a man, or in this case, you can flip it. If you're a woman and you trusted someone and they betrayed you, what's love got to do with it? How do you move on from that? Break down that Samson and Delilah situation.
Well, I love what you said, because the Bible says it like this. And Samson loved her. It never says that she loved him.
Yeah, that's it. Never said it was reciprocated.
It never says that she loved him. And I think, and understanding that is one of the most powerful revelations that someone can get. Because very powerful. Because in other words, back to the same point, is that he was given gallons, she was given pints.
Right.
He was given heart. She was given
half pints.
She was given, right. She just wasn't. And so when you look at that and you evaluate that and you examine
wait a minute, hold up, Bishop. Hold up. This is our podcast. I saw where you were going. Go ahead. Get it out there.
Yeah, okay.
Twin,
okay, here we go.
This is our podcast, baby. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So he was giving his heart. She was just giving him hair.
That's it.
I'll put it like that. Now, for those unfamiliar with that, she used her. Let me spiritualize it. Some of the deep spiritual people maybe just got lost.
They got all.
Oh, I got it. I got you today. Oh, I got you. That's why I pulled it back. I got you. Here's the deal. She was using physical means of connectivity with him to lullaby him. The Bible literally says he laid his head in her lap. Now, pay attention to that. In other words, the Bible was inferring that the connectivity was physical. He laid his head in her lap. Now, I'm going to let them extrapolate that, right? Now, the point is this, is that she was using physical connectivity to substitute for real intimacy.
Oh, my God.
So as a result, the truth is, the Bible says day by day, she said, why, how are you so strong? How are you so strong? And Samson kept lying to her. Now, I just want you to think about this. If you have to lie to someone, it means that you feel like you're not safe telling them the truth. That doesn't make it right, but it's revealing to you.
It gives reason.
I don't feel safe in telling you the truth. Yeah. Correct. Then this means we have an issue. This means we have a challenge. So this is exactly what happened with Samson. And so when you view this, and you address this issue with Samson, what it ends up doing, it ends up making it very clear to you that she literally became his weakness. Delilah's name in Hebrew means to weaken or to make poor. And watch me, it ain't a Delilah, it's a Delilah, the masculine version of it. you literally are drawn to what weakens you and makes you poor, and not
Oh
just
my
poor
God,
financially,
Jesus.
a poor decision maker,
Yeah.
a poor planner, a poor business person, a poor lover. So listen to even what you said. He said that when he met his wife, she made him feel safe. In other words, he found a fit.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's where it's at when it comes to relationships. When you don't find what fits, then you will try to create a fit. And the danger with creating a fit is that anything that you have to build can also be broken and deconstructed.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And what does that mean? It means a lot of times people spend time in relationships trying to make somebody into who they want, not realizing that if they're
Mm,
not already a fit,
that's it.
then whatever I remember this happening when I was coming out of high school.
Uh huh.
There was a girl, and she did everything. I mean, she did everything you would think that you would want
Yeah.
a girl to do. I mean, everything. I mean, she did everything you think.
Mm.
In fact, I have a few stories I did that throughout dating period, but she did everything you would think you'd want. And I was very active in church leadership at the time. As this was before I was a pastor, a senior pastor, social pastor, any of that.
Hmm.
And she did all of those things. And then I remember one day, what she said to me? She said, "I don't want to do this." I said, "Do what?" I don't want to just be in church all my life. I said, I
Ooh.
said,
Wow.
"What?" I was like, "This is who we are. This is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we do." I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. This is what we do.
this is
Yeah.
not, this is not a game. This is not a career choice. This is not like God. We love God. And I'm speaking in plurality, like this is what we do. No. And so she literally, and again, this was fresh out of high school, right, fresh out of high school, and so she goes and she becomes look. Let's keep it 100. She starts stripping. She starts going to
Oh
clubs. She becomes a
wow.
totally different woman than what I thought. And here's why: because she became what she thought I wanted, but what she became is not who she was. And so the point is, anything you
Mm.
build, because she would listen to me say, "This is what I want." She would listen to me say, "This is what I desire." So she became that, but the truth is she really wasn't that. So consequently, that just wasn't a fit. Now everybody goes. Let me, because I hear somebody saying, "Well, people go through moments." Yes, she did. People go through things. Yes, she did. To my knowledge, from last I knew, she's married with kids and loves the Lord and all that. That's awesome. Point is, at that place and stage in her life, that was not a fit. And when it comes to lovers and relationships and all of that, the truth is, what your prayer has to be and what your pursuit has to be is what's the right fit. Because you will spend years building somebody into something that they're not, to only have it deconstructed in one moment.
Man, come on, brother.
One moment.
Come
One
on.
moment.
Come
One
on.
moment can deconstruct
Oh
what you spent
man.
years building.
Yeah.
And the reality is, because that's just not who they really are.
That's not who they are.
That's just not who they really are. Again, look, I got stories for days. Look, let me
Yeah.
back this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
close it. One more story, and another story. Again, similar type scenario, generally around that same time, and very similar situation. And and this beautiful woman, amazing voice, and went off, got married, had children, the whole nine. And literally, as I looked back over that, here's what the Holy Ghost said, because we had an interaction in terms of just communication and just, hey, how you doing, kind of catching up years later. And as I listened to just some of her emotional fragility and some of the other things that were being said, the Holy Ghost said, "See, son, I made you dodge a bullet.
Mm.
This would have been a complete distraction for you."
Oh wow.
And so I say to everybody, like, what's love got to do with it? Get the man's book. That's my
Get
close.
the man's book. Come on, Bishop. Listen, y'all, thesoultiesmovement.com/store. Get the book. It's an amazing book. I'm telling you right now. It's ghost written like all my books. I say it all the time. Holy Spirit definitely wrote this book. To sum it up, it is my manifesto on the misconception and miseducation of love. Um, Totally biblical based, and yet there's a twist to it. I'm not going to say it. You have to get it. Absolutely amazing. All this month I'm talking about it. Tune into the Soul Ties Society. I'm doing a 4-week for the entire month, every Tuesday night course on love. How to love and how to love correctly and how to love God's way. you got to sign up for the Soul Society. Get the book. Go to thesoultiesmovement.com. On the tour. Oh, my God. Listen, this Thursday, guess where I'm going to be? If you are in Hutchinson, Kansas, I'm coming. I'm coming my first time in Hutchinson, Kansas. We got so many fans, man, so many followers, so many soldiers in that city, and I want to see you. I want you to pull up. I want you to show up. I want you to bring your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, bring your exes, bring your girls, bring your men, bring them all, and get this work. SoulTies Detox Tour. This week I'll be in Hutchinson, Kansas. On the 12th, I will be in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Come on, Vegas.
Vegas, we coming, baby. And on the 20th, Birmingham, Alabama. That is our schedule for the month of February. To keep in touch and in tune with where we're going to be, go to the Soul Ties Movement. All things, everything you need to know about the movement is on the SoulTiesMovement.com website. But until then, y'all, I'll still be the Love and Life Coach. That man will still be the People's Bishop and will be the Soul Ties Movement. Peace and love, y'all.
Thank you for listening. We would like to bless you with the Soul Ties Stimulus Package, which includes the Detox ebook, message, and exclusive podcast episode. Text Soul Ties, SoulTies, to 888-756-8681.